Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. If you're joining in the morning, good morning. It is evening here at my home, and I'm so happy to guide you through this wellness session. We're going to be doing some very light, gentle yoga, some meditative poses. The key with yoga is it's all in your breathing. So you want to make sure that you are continuously breathing. You can get into your Juyari breath, in which you shut your mouth and you breathe in and out of your nose only. Breathing out of your mouth actually increases your stress. So as we get into some more flow poses, again, I encourage you to do some in and out breathing through your nose only. But again, as long as you are breathing and not holding your breath, that will be ideal. We're going to start in a seated position. If you have a mat, a yoga mat, that's great. If you don't, that's fine as well. If you have even a towel or a blanket or something like that, that will work as well. Just something to give you some comfort in some of our poses might be helpful. So just start with me in a very comfortable seated position. When we sit with our legs crossed and our hands on our knees, if you have your palms up, that's to receive. Palms down is to ground yourself. I like to begin in a comfortable receiving position. I'm going to start with some very deep inhales and exhales. As we get started, I encourage you to inhale and count with me. We're going to count to 5, inhale, and try to hold at the very top. And then we're going to exhale and try to make the exhale for 5 counts as well. Try to have it the same amount of time inhaling as exhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and do that on your own 2 more times. Deep inhale, try to count. And as you exhale, try to make your exhale as long as your inhale was. You have a nice even inhale and exhale and get in a very relaxing pose and a very relaxing, calming state with your breath. As we begin here, if any of the poses at any time are a bit too much for you, just ease up on the pose. This is going to be very gentle yoga, so nothing too crazy, but if you do feel like you are in any type of pain, do stop. This should not be painful. Some things might be a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to be holding some poses for a little bit, but nothing should be hurting. So if anything is hurting, you'll want to just lighten up on the pose. And I will mention some alternative poses for a couple of the poses that we're going to do later on. We're going to get started with some light stretching. So you should be on a seated position. I like to just extend my legs out to begin. You want to be careful that you're not hurting your back. If your back is hurting to stretch in this way, then you're going to want to put a slight bend in your knee, and that should ease up on the stress on your back muscles. But we do want to be stretching our back just a bit. You should also be feeling it in the backs of your legs as you stretch. I can't always stretch and touch my toes, especially at the beginning of a workout. So that's okay if you can't either. Just go ahead and stretch and hold as deep as you can. The big thing with any of our poses is we want to hold them and we want to keep breathing. So we're going to be breathing as we're holding. After you're done stretching to both legs, you can go ahead and extend your left leg out, and you can cross your right leg so that your right leg is tucked into your left. And you can shift your body just a little bit so that you're actually sort of facing over this left leg. And you're going to just stretch, lightly stretch to your left leg. Again, if this is hurting, you can put a slight bend in your knee and that will ease up on your back. But you should be stretching and feeling it slightly in your back, mostly in your leg and your upper hip area. And again, important to be breathing, always breathing. We shouldn't be holding our breath as we're doing our poses. And to stretch our side body, you can extend your right arm to the side. It helps if you try to look up to the sky here, and that will ensure that you're getting a good solid stretch up your side body. Again, we're breathing. After you hold, you might find you're able to stretch just a bit further with the next one. And release, and you might find you can also extend further on the foot after you've extended a little bit on that side. Bring your legs back together. Do some light stretching here, and we're going to move to the other side. So you're going to extend your right leg. Always be sure that you are pointing your toes to the sky. So you should have an active foot. Your foot shouldn't be toes down. You should have a very active foot. And your left leg is going to be tucked this way into your right leg. Again, if you're feeling any type of pain, you should just release a bit here. But if you want to just kind of release a bit from your back, you can put a slight bend in your knee, and that will help release from your back stretching. But we should be stretching our back just a bit here, but mostly you should be feeling it in your leg, particularly your upper leg and your upper hip area. So we're going to stretch and breathing. And once we've stretched this way, you can extend your left arm. Again, make sure you are looking up to the sky. That will ensure that you are fully stretching. You should be feeling it here in your side body. And breathing. And you can do a final stretch here on this side. You might find you have a little more space after you've stretched a bit on your side. If you don't have any water handy, you may want to get some. I like to stay well hydrated. That also keeps me from getting distracted if I have a dry throat. So we're going to take just a sip of water and we're going to get ready to move on up. You can do just a light rock, or you can go back up to a seated position. And we're going to get back up to what we call just on all fours here. And we're going to do some cat-cow positions. So you want to get into a position where basically your shoulders and your hands are lined up here. So your hands are sort of right under your shoulder. Your legs should be quite straight above your knee here. And just kind of do some motion in this type of pose. Always feels very good for my body to kind of just do some circles, get my hips flowing. I'll kind of do some circle exercises this way. I sometimes even kind of come down a little bit, go back. Whatever feels good to you and to your body, just listen to your body and move in that way. And doing some stretching and just move in how your body is calling out to you. Always be sure that you are breathing, always breathing. And we're going to meet back in this simple, what we call tabletop position. And we're going to be doing our cat-cow poses. Now, cat-cow is a lot of breathing and just some gentle movements. So we think of a cat with its back kind of arched this way and our head down, and that's on our exhale. And when we do our inhale, we arch our back and put our head up, and that's when we do our inhale. So we inhale and exhale. So inhale and exhale. Do a few of those on your own. You should be feeling some good stretching in your back. This pose also is helpful because it has with it a counter pose. So we arch our back and then we are arching our back here. So we're kind of pushing our back up and then going up in the inverted direction. So this is a good stretch for our back with a counter pose kind of built in there. I'm going to do some final hip circles here. And get my body ready for some movement. What I would like you to do is extend your arm out in front of you, your right arm, and take your left foot and kick it back. So you should have the opposite arm and leg. And just kind of hold. You should be as straight as you possibly can, kind of a nice straight forward. It's the ideal position here. And we're going to take and try to touch your elbow to your knee as much as you can. If it's not perfect, that's okay. Just do the very best you can. We're going to be pulling in with our knee and extend our right arm out. In with our knee and extend our right arm out. And we're going to do a few of these. Go ahead and do these at your own pace. And 6, 7, remember to breathe. 8, 9, and 10. And hold, number 10. Hold, 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 hold. And down. Kind of shake that out. If your wrists are kind of hurting, you could do some wrist circles. I'm on kind of a hard surface here, so my wrists are going to be hurting a little bit. So I'm going to remember to be stretching those out. Maybe we'll do some wrist stretches later. So now we're going to do the opposite side. We're going to extend our left arm out and kick our right foot back. So we have sort of the opposite arm and leg that we just had previously. You did it the other way. Just go ahead and do the opposite way this time. And we're going to stretch and try to touch that elbow and that knee. Arm out and crunch it in. 2, 3, and breathing. 4, and 5, 6, and 7, and breathing. 8, and 9, and 10. And hold, 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 hold. Number 10 and down. Go ahead and kind of move and release that. If you do want to do some wrist stretches with me, you can very gently kind of turn your wrists so that the tops of your hands are flat on the floor, flat on your mat, and very gently lean back. Not a whole lot of leaning back, just very, very gently, and you'll feel some nice stretches right in your wrist. I find I need to do this after a long day on my computer. This is very helpful to release any tension that I might be having in the muscle right here in my wrist. Very, very gently. And I can do some additional circles there if I need to. Okay, so from here, go ahead and sit back on your bottom. And we're going to do some final poses and get ready to do some standing exercises. So go ahead, and I like to do a simple stretch here where I try to put your feet as flat as you can on the ground. Point your toes slightly out. Your elbows are kind of pushing against your knee here. And put your hands at heart center here, prayer pose, as we like to call it. And it is a very good stretch for your legs here and your thigh area. And I find it very helpful. It also is a great balance pose. You're going to want to be lifting up your head to keep yourself from falling over, but also to stretch your back a little bit as well as your leg. Go ahead and stand with me. And we're going to do some sun salutation poses here. So we're going to be stretching it up, breathing, and all the way down to our toes. Again, if you can't touch all the way to your toes, that's okay. Go down as far as you can and hold as much as you can. And remember to breathe and hold. And up, and slight back bend. This should feel really good, this back bend, after we've been stretching down to our toes. Then I want you to grab your right wrist with your left hand and pull slightly. Remember to be looking up to the sky here, this direction. You should feel a good stretch in your side body. Be sure to keep your feet nice and flat on the floor. And center, slight back bend. And the other side, take your right hand and have it grip your left wrist gently. And just pull, 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 pull. Just gently pulling. Again, you should feel a nice stretch in your side body here. Looking up to the sky to ensure you are fully stretching on your side. And breathing. Hands down. We're going to do what's called chair pose. Chair pose is basically where you kind of pretend there's a chair behind you, but there isn't one. So we're going to put our toes slightly together, and we're going to lift our hands to the sky. And breathing and holding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. Down to your toes. Nice breath. And up. Slight back bend. Let's do a couple rounds of these. Chair pose and holding. Try to get even lower than you did last time. You should feel it back here in your back side. Low, low, low. Crunch down, down, down. and release. Stretching down to your toes. If this is hurting, you can put a slight bend in your knee. And up to stretch. Slight back bend. And one more chair pose. Again, put your toes just slightly together and up to the sky and get as low as you can. Last one here. Stretching up, up, up. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release and stretching. And up. We're going to do some flow, some very light flow work. So what I'd like you to do is come back down on the mat with me. And we're going to hold a plank pose. Plank pose is where you're sort of flat as a board as you possibly can. And you should be up on your tiptoes on the back there, if you can't see mine. And you should feel some pressure in your arms. If it's hurting your back, you can take a sort of modified plank and put your knees down if you need to. That will help relieve off of your arms. But if you want to do full plank, I do encourage you to do that if you're able to. And we're going to hold and breathe. And we're going to do a vinyasa flow here. Vinyasa flow is where we go up to a cobra or a seal. And then we're going to go down to a downward facing dog. Downward facing dog, this is our first one. So you may need to pedal out your feet. Your feet should be about 2 fist lengths apart. And you should be trying to melt your heels down to the floor as much as you can. And I find the first downward dog I do of the evening, I often have to pedal out my feet a little bit. So if you're feeling that stretch in your back leg muscles, mine are always very tight. I find this pedaling out really, really helps. So I encourage you to do that. And then we're going to hold our downward dog for just a moment here. And then I encourage you to kick up your right foot, bend your right leg, stack your hips, and we're going to do some hip circles. You're going to take your right knee and pretend you are drawing some big circles in the sky. That will ensure that you are doing your hip circles properly. And when you go one direction, you're going to stop eventually here and go the other direction. Try to even out your sides here. And down. And we're going to do the same thing with our left side here. Kick out your right foot, bend your left leg, stack your hips, hip circles, and try to write big circles in the air with your knee. You're going to go both directions. When you're done there, we're going to meet in Warrior One. Warrior One on your left side means your left foot is in front. Your right foot is just slightly at a 45 here in the back. There should be a nice bend in your left knee. And up. And we're going to hold. And we're going to move into Warrior Two. I always need to adjust my feet just a hair when I move into Warrior Two. I should be nice and straight in my body. If you think about, you should be able to sort of fit right through a toaster. You should be nice and straight here. with your body, your legs and your arms. And we're going to hold warrior two. And you're going to flip your left hand over and you're going to go reverse your warrior. Your right hand should slide down your back leg. And when we're done holding this, we're going to straighten our left leg. And you'll notice that sort of changes the position here. That sort of changes our muscle group that we're stretching here. Then we're going to stretch back out over that front leg. We're going to kind of pull forward with our left hand. We're going to meet our left leg and kind of slide down our left leg as much as we can. Your right arm should be high. And we're going to stretch by looking up at that right hand. And we're going to go back down. And I'm going to do a little stretch in my left hip here and kind of hold this just a little bit of a stretch here with this crooked leg here that I have. And bring it back for a plank. I'm not going to hold my plank as long this time. I'm going to just hold for a couple seconds here. And I'm going to go down and do my vinyasa. I'm going to meet up in a cobra and then kick down to a downward dog. And we're going to do that same flow with our right leg. Back up. So our right leg is in front this time for our warrior one. Anything we do on one side, we must do on the other. So we're going to do that same flow on our right leg here. We're going to hold warrior one. Make sure your hips are nice and centered here, facing forward. You need to adjust your feet. I find I usually do a little bit. If your legs are kind of long like mine are, you might have to extend your pace here a little bit. Make sure you're breathing. And go down to a warrior two on your right side. If you need to adjust your feet a little bit to make sure that your body is nice and straight and in line, be sure to do that. Your arms should be extended. Don't let your back arm get lazy. Mine always wants to get lazy back there. So I make sure that I have my arms nice and extended. And you're going to flip your right arm over, bring it up, and your left arm should go down your left leg and stretching. And you're going to straighten your right leg, and this slightly changes the stretch that you're holding here. And I'm going to bring my right arm out, bring it down my right leg and down to my ankle here. And I'm going to look up at my extended left hand. And I'm going to come down. And I see we have just a couple of minutes left, so we're going to do some final cool down poses here. If you want to do a little bit more of that flow, you can push pause here and do that basic flow a few more times. I'm going to just do that same kind of stretch here on my right hip as I did earlier on my left. Always breathing. And we're going to be down just on our bellies here. And we're going to do just a couple of stretches here. And I actually really like doing the boat pose. You may not agree. It's a great ab workout. So basically what you do is you clutch your ankles and lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And release, and just give yourself just not too long of a break. You're going to be getting tired. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll do one more. And 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And just give yourself a nice, comfortable stretch. Since we just did some slight stretching with our boat pose, I'm going to just show you a quick circle and back bend. We want to do counter pose with the ab workout we just did. So I'm just going to show you this quickly. We're running out of time here, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. You just lay on your back and do a slight back bend and hold. Also do a full back bend. Which I really like doing. It will kind of give you a little burst of energy though. So if it's late in the evening, you may not want to do the full circle back bend, but I quite enjoy doing it. It's a really nice stretch for your back area. And we are out of time, but I'm going to just end us with just some light breathing, and just meet me in a comfortable seated position, hands at heart center, and we're going to breathe. Deep inhale, deep exhale. And I want to thank you for joining me, whatever time of day you're joining me. Thank you so much. I hope that you found this relaxing. I hope you're able to stretch a little bit, and thank you so much.